Hagopian here. She has to put up with this old man 7 days a week. So we're delighted she can come here and relax with us tonight.
Well, you have a wonderful daughter.
Nice to see you again. Last time was at the funeral.
You're right. You're
Hello,
right.
Mary.
Nice to have a happy
Fine.
occasion.
Come on
And
in.
I
Come on
remember
in.
growing up.
When we go in and sit in the dining room, you're going to sit at the head table and point out where you are. Michael wants 7 or 8 couples at
I
that table.
understand that
So
you are at SC.
Michael wants.
No,
Michael
how are
wants,
you?
Michael gets.
Wonderful.
Sure, for about 50 years.
Fifty?
Hello, George. Hello, Helen. Hello, Arabian. Nice to see you.
I knew we'd see you guys. I knew we'd
How are
see
you?
you. How are you? I know. How are you?
I'm fine.
Russell soon.
Nice to see you. I didn't know you were coming or your wife. I didn't know which one is coming.
She wondered who would be here.
Oh, I said, I know the Mexicans will be there. For sure.
Let him take your picture. Whole crowd.
What's your name?
Well, what's her name? Right here.
This guy can't be 9 years old.
Hey, you're also a carpenter.
Michael,
How do you think this guy's the original carpenter?
this is the original.
Last Monday. So that would be.
He's the original carpenter. My father was a carpenter.
Your father was a
My father was present when Dr. Hagopian,
Yeah.
Mike's dad, addressed the Yeprot College, Euphrates College.
He's in law school. Maybe he'll be a better lawyer than his dad. That would make me happy. That would make me happy. Hello, 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 hello.
Wow, it is almost Halloween. Well, how do you do?
Oh, hi, Nora. Nice to see you. Valley Green. It's been a long time.
Hello, Mr. Walter.
Hello, Janet. How are you? Nice to see both of you. Wonderful
That's
to
my
have you.
cousin, you know.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Okay. Well, right here, you can start right here with champagne, wine, or water, whatever you feel like. Or if you want a cocktail, they'll make you a drink.
No, this is good. I'm not.
Okay, okay. Come on, go ahead. Michael's here. You and Moshina.
Oh, she was coming.
Yeah.
Rabbi, I want you to meet my, I just don't know Armenian, I know Rabbi. Rabbi Herzl, Arias,
Nice to see you.
George Mevchin, two of my oldest friends.
Yeah. Good. Very helpful. Hello, Elizabeth. Glad you came, Renee. Hello, Mira. How are you? Glad you came. No matter, when we go in to sit down, we want you to sit on the first side of the head table next to Ellen. You guys, you next to Ellen, okay? Champagne, water, red wine, or a cocktail if you want that, or something. We'll make you anything you want.
Last time you called me was
I know that we can touch it. You guys are in touch with
Hello, thank you. Absolutely. We need it. Thank you. Get up.
White wine, no champagne.
I don't want champagne. White wine is white. Champagne now. You're videoing everybody as they come in. They're not serving white wine. No kissing, but they kiss you later on. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I hope you have a great time. All of your friends here tonight. Everybody wants to celebrate with you. Come on in.
We'll give it to Wally. Give it to Wally.
Harry said, a bunch of guys from the press can actually fit together.
Been married 54 years.
Text, so how you mean?
Hello, John.
Happy birthday again.
I almost cried at balls.
This is great. More polka guns than I've seen since my days at the First Armenian Presbyterian Church. I mean, my goodness. And I have to explain to the Odars the words here, they're sitting by one. This is the largest gathering of polka guns in this house, I'm sure. No, wait, I take that back. Maybe when my cousin Zakhar Apelian turned 90, we had a party for him here. Alice, I think you guys were here then, weren't you, when Zakhar Apelian, was his 90th or 85th or something like that, anyway. All the Kiss-Upsies were here, I remember that.
There's a lot of Republicans here too.
Yeah. By the way, this house was built, the extension was built by Holmes Tuttle, the original owner of this house, and he added that on so that he could put 100 people in these 3 rooms for Ronald Reagan, for dinners for Ronald Reagan. You can imagine, Michael, we need you around someplace right in here in the corner, Michael. You can imagine the jokes in the neighborhood, how the neighborhood was going to pot when I bought this house. Okay, Mommy, why don't you sit down? Well, let me, Michael, sit right there because I want to, yeah, you can see right in here, I want to, okay. Well, first of all, let me welcome, can you hear me back there? Can you guys hear me? Okay. All right. Let me welcome everybody on behalf of Laurel and myself to this extraordinary evening of the 90th birthday of one of our great national treasures, Dr. Michael Hagopian. We have a lot of treasures in this house, but none more important to us than 3 people who are right here. And I'll start out, first of all, with Benjamin Karabian, who after 3 years working for Mitsubishi's advertising branch in the Pacific Southwest, learning how to sell cars between San Diego and Houston or Dallas, which was it? Dallas. He decided that he would carry on. He had already earned his bachelor's degree in international relations from USC under Professor Gerard Deukmejian. And so now he's at USC Law School, where else, where he is a first-year student. So if he ducks out, he doesn't, he's scared and he doesn't have that relaxed look that Michael Amarian has on his face from having completed law school and passed the bar exam. So this is our Benjamin Karabian, and he lives in the apartment over the garage. it's worked out quite well for him and for us because he's been a very positive influence on our little one. Secondly, no evening is complete in this house without having Eleanor DeCronion here with us. We are so delighted. I think she's the only one in the room who can call Michael a kid because she will be 92 in February, still driving to the chagrin of her daughters, but still driving, and making her presence felt and the perpetuation of her husband's name, which has been wonderful. Just yesterday, I was down at the automobile, at the garage, down on Wilshire and La Brea, the Memorians, and one of the people there was telling me that how wonderful it was, Arshad DeCronion, look at people who had never met him, like this garage attendant, knew his name, and what happened to all the other rich people who have come and gone, and a year after they're dead, everybody forgets about him. Well, we have Eleanor to thank for the perpetuation of the good name, and we're delighted to have her here with us, Eleanor DeCronion. And finally, doing so well in the 5th grade at Arshad DeCronion School, following in the footsteps of her brother, who went to Arshad DeCronion and then left in high school to go to Loyola High School. But our Madeline Araxi, who continues to get straight A's and wins the Halloween costume contest each year. At least they're doing something smart over there at the school. and just a wonderful little girl who goes and visits her granny every day after school, which is a great joy for both of them. So we're just delighted, and if you remain seated, Madeline is going to say the blessing for the table.
Jashage sur Kaluchan is Geragure sur Batrastiare Nezi Jagnen Ordnare der Barkeresturi. Amen.
I will explain it to you later.
Okay, Pedro, stick your head in there and tell them to start bringing the food out. Oh no, we have the message. Okay, good. Everyone, enjoy yourself. I'll add a word or two about the wines tonight. I'm hesitant to do this in the presence of Paul Kalamkarian, but I'm going to do it nevertheless. You have on the table in front of you 2 outstanding Cabernets. The Freemark Abbey Cabernet 1990. We looked for something that had a 90 on it for Michael Hadopian's birth. We couldn't find a 1913 in any great number, so we decided to get a 1990 Cabernet. And I think you'll find it one of the great California Cabernets and an outstanding year also as well. Can you guys hear me in the back?
Happy birthday, Michael.
I was just telling everybody the Corazon wine on the table has a unique relationship to the Caribbean family because Kathy Corazon was a classmate of Laurel's at Pomona College, and she always talked about wanting to be a winemaker. When she left Pomona College, she went to work for Don Chapelet at Chapelet Vineyards, also a Pomona graduate. And then eventually, after she got her master's degree in ethnology,
What is that? That didn't come around.
After she got her master's degree in enology, she began making her own wines, which are award-winning, and I think you're gonna really enjoy the full-body texture of the Kathy Corazon's 1998 Cabernet. Laurel and I are quite proud of 3 of our paintings that are downstairs, and we thought we'd take a minute and tell you about them because we're immensely proud of them and our ability to acquire them in the years that have gone on. First of all, in the living room, for those of you when you go out into the living room, first of all, let me tell you about the painter himself. Many of you know the most famous Armenian painter who ever lived was Ivan Ayavzovsky, Ivan Konstantinovich Ayavzovsky, born and baptized Hovannes Avazyan, and took his Russian name when he became the painter to the Tsar's court at a mere 20 years of age. His paintings rank in the world as the stellar painter of maritime and sea scenes, and they're gobbled up by Russians, Turks, Armenians, Georgians, all who claim him as their national painter, but of course Hovannes Avazyan, pretty hard to get around that one and make that guy a Turk or a Russian or a Georgian. When he was 20 years of age, he submitted 5 paintings to the Tsar's court in St. Petersburg in 1837. 1837, he was 20 years of age. He submitted 5 paintings, 4 of which have been lost. The one over the fireplace in the living room, which he named Ship Aflame in a Dark Night. We have changed the title of that to Turkish Ship Aflame in a Dark Night. And we acquired that to celebrate our 5th wedding anniversary, and we're quite proud of having an Ayavzovsky. I believe Laurel and I have the largest collection of Ayavzovsky on the West Coast, because we have 4, the one in the living room, and we have one upstairs called Romance in our bedroom, which is a scene of a sailboat on the French or Italian coast, and somebody walking. It's a small painting. Now, in the far corner, Barbara's going to put the light on it so that you can see it. This is Ayavzovsky's Ischia, of the island of Ischia, because he spent a great deal of time on the Italian coast, painting Naples, Capri, Ischia, which is about 30 miles north of Capri on the west coast. And then he spent a great deal of time in Venice, at San Lazzaro, where his brother Gabriel Ayavzovsky was an archbishop in the Armenian church and lived there at San Lazzaro at the same time as Lord Byron. So this is Ischia, painted by Ayavzovsky in the 1880s, and we were indeed fortunate to get this one as well. And they all came from the same source. Some of the people here in this room know who Antranik Shahinyan is, the foremost authority on Ayavzovsky in the United States. And at one point, he had 42 Ayavzovskys in his personal collection. And as the years have gone on, he has sold them from time to time to continue his lifestyle. And by the time I caught up with him, and he had, a couple of them have gotten away to Andres Rupian in New York had bought 5 or 6 of them, I think, before I got to him. And I'm telling you this as background because it leads to, in my opinion, the piece de resistance, although we have a difference of opinion in this house.
No, it's not the little one.
Now, this is the big one she told me to press, okay? This is the big one. Now, I want you to watch this. You see that? The little one? You see where my finger is? Okay. Now, thank you very much. This is the first one I've won in 15 years. This is unbelievable. Mike, will you turn down the light just outside the doorway there? Just outside, turn that little knob down. All the way. All the way. This painting is the most historical of Ayazovsky's many paintings. When Crimean Heidig went from the Patriarch of Bolis to become Vapar in Echmiadzin, he was replaced by Nerses Varzhabedyan. And at the time of Nerses Varzhabedyan's election as Patriarch of Constantinople, Ayazovsky was there in Constantinople. He left, he went to Georgia where he lived, and he painted this painting and sent it to Nerses Patriarch, and it hung for many years in the Patriarch's offices in Bolis. Then it was purchased by the Kostikian brothers from Chicago and New York, and it came to the United States, and Antranik Shahinyan purchased it long ago. I'm quite proud of what comes next. I was speaking to him on the phone one day, and he said, I'm going to donate one of my paintings to the Armenian Patriarch in Constantinople. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, he said, I have this religious scene that was painted for an original patriarch, Nerses Varzhabedyan. By the way, there's a big certificate, painted certificate signed by the French Consul General, the American Consul General, and the Nerses Surpaisan about this painting. And he said, I'm going to send it to him. I said, are you out of your mind? You're going to send a painting to Turkey? I mean, this is the most outrageous thing I had heard. And he's a sweet, gentle man, as those of you who know him will attest. I said, I'm buying this painting from you. Well, he said, it's very expensive. I said, I don't care what it is. I'm going to buy this painting, and we're going to keep it here. And eventually, we will donate it to the church here and keep it so Armenians in America can see it. So this is Christ calling Peter to walk on water. You'll recall, those of you who remember from the Bible, when he called Peter out of the ship of fishermen on the Sea of Galilee. And Peter got on the water and then began to have doubts. And he said, in effect, Lord, don't let me drown. And Christ said, don't you have enough faith? And as he started to sink a little bit, he then went and got back into the boat. And so I just think this is a treasure, and the lighting on it. One thing Ayazovsky did in all of his paintings, he always had a little light in it, whether it was a sun or whether it was the radiance from Christ. But or the moon, he always had that, and to him it was to show the hope of the future. It was one of his characteristics. He died in 1900 after coming to the United States and painting dramatically Niagara Falls, as well as a beautiful painting which Hurar Hovnanian has, which is Columbus coming to America. Hovnanian has the picture of that. And for those of you who want to see it, there's a catalog on the living room table with Gerard Hovnanian's painting of Columbus landing in America on the cover of it that was written by Andy Shahinian years ago. I want to acknowledge, and I could go around and acknowledge a bunch of people, but I'm not going to. I want to acknowledge we have two of our wonderful judges who serve the people of Los Angeles County so faithfully and so diligently. And you can take it from me as a lawyer, it's a thankless job, because every decision you make a friend and an enemy. And the friend usually is unhappy because you haven't gone far enough in his or her favor. And the enemy is unhappy because he or she has lost. Let me first introduce Judge of the Superior Court, Alice Altoon. Alice, good to have you around. Alice Altoon. Wave so everybody see where you are. There she is. Okay. And a Fresno Sea friend, brother, graduated from Roosevelt High School in Fresno, as did I. Many, many years ago. I went on to a distinguished education at Yale and then Harvard Law School, and now sits as judge of the Superior Court in Los Angeles, a historian who has regaled the other ex-Fresno guys. You know, we have a luncheon group of ex-Fresno-cies, 20 Armenian guys from Fresno, who get together once a month, and these guys are not as nationalistic as Ron Sohigian and I am, and so it's been an educational process as he's educated them, and his most recent was a beautiful lecture about the trial of Soghomon Tehlirian after he assassinated Talat Pasha in Berlin. And Ron, who is fluent in German as well as Armenian, gave the original translations from German. It was really quite an impressive lecture. My good friend and my Fresno brother, Judge Ron Sohigian. Ron, over here. In the 70s. Was that right? God, I thought it was in the early 80s. Okay, 27 years ago. And left George, myself, and Richard Amarian, trustees of his modest estate at the time. And it grew under Virginia, under your son's Barry's guidance as the market grew. Took a dip down in later years. I know. But at one point, the corpus of our trust reached about $5.2 million. And now we're down around $4 million, somewhere in that, but still very nice. And when our dear friend Richard passed away so prematurely, giving great credence to the old adage, the good die young. I'm delighted, Michael, that you're still with us. And I will live to be 150 if that's true. So, George and I elected Richard's son, Michael, to take his place on the Board of Trustees of the Ignatius Foundation. And to commemorate this special occasion, Michael, I'm going to ask Michael Amarian to come forward and make an announcement on behalf of the George Ignatius Foundation. Michael?
Thank you very much. It's definitely an honor and a privilege to finally get a chance to stand where so many Caribbean children have stood before. Reciting lines.
Very good, Michael. Very good.
But tonight is also special to be here to honor Dr. Hagopian, growing up, my dad made a point of taking me and my sister to go listen to our great-grandmother, Bartwi Bedrosian, who was a survivor of the genocide, and had made a point of having us listen to her tell her firsthand accounts, an experience that I'm sure many people in this room shared with their relatives who were also survivors. And that was extraordinarily important to preserving the sense of Armenian identity within both me and my sister as we grew up in the United States, outside of Armenia. And the longer we spend as a people spread throughout the diaspora, the more important and the more historically relevant the work that Dr. Hagopian has done will become. And it's absolutely essential that work be preserved and shown to our children so that we remain a cohesive unit and a cohesive people going forward. And it is with that in mind that the George Ignatius Foundation has given a gift of $50,000 to the Arshak-Dekanian School to establish a classroom named in honor of Dr. Hagopian. That classroom will have a plaque outside of it that reads, the Archives and Journalism Classroom in honor of Dr. J. Michael Hagopian, and given by the trustees of the George Ignatius Foundation, George Phillips, Michael Marion, and Wally Karabi. And in addition, the foundation will provide each of you here with the videotape copy of the program from tonight that is being recorded right now.
Looks like his dad.
Very nice. Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much. I appreciated that line about standing where the Caribbean children are stood. Michael has been here year in and year out as the kids have been reciting and going from there. My job is not to read the cards that you've left for Michael in the tray, the silver tray out front. But one deserves a reading because her father was so dear and close to Michael, and we miss him so much. It would be wonderful to have Harry Cheechin here with us this evening, but as most of you know, he just recently passed away, and we're delighted that his daughter Sarah is here. If there has been a consistent supporter of the Armenian Film Foundation, and there are many, especially those around this table, if there is one who stands out, it's Sarah Cheechin and her father Harry, who consistently supported us and enabled us to produce, how many films, Michael, would you say?
Well, 7, 8.
No, more than that. The list has, what, about 30 names on it, of films, of videos. 13, all right, 13. Gladys Karabian, God rest her soul, would have said, you made me a liar for 15 videos. I mean, that's, in any case, we have made, as Michael alluded, a very significant contribution to the preservation of our history. And it couldn't have been done, Sarah, without your father's commitment and yours. And so, in that great tradition, and out of respect for you and your father, I'm going to read this. The cover says, "A Dream or Reality?" A picture of the late Harry Cheechin kissing Michael on the cheek. A younger Michael Hagopian, not as scruffy as he is tonight, but a younger Michael Hagopian. And inside, "I really love the children. I could not hug them enough. As I look back upon my life, I now realize I hugged and kissed them more than I subsequently did with my own children. They brought me so much love and joy into my life. Sarah, did I start this at the right place?
All right, you have to show the picture. This is Michael and his sister. Father met them when Michael was like 3 years old. His sister must have been about 2.
There they are, Michael and his sister
This is
here.
in Carter in 1918.
This is in Carpet?
In 19, well, Michael's
Where
picture.
else? Where else?
Oh, no, but I thought you had left by then,
I
1918.
stuck around.
You stuck around for a few years. Good, I'm glad to hear that. Shot a couple of Turks along the way.
My father,
Wait,
give her the mic.
please, stand up and say it. Please, Sarah, this is good. Michael, help her there, or David, help her.
You can stay right
Right there.
Put it hold it closer.
In 1918, my father was taken to Michael's house, and the doctor took him in as a worker. My father at that time was 17, and he had gone through a lot already with the Turks. So when he got into an Armenian home, it was like being back in his own family. But Michael was 3, and his sister was 2. His biggest joy was to take the 2 children up to his their garden, and he would put the little girl on his shoulders, and Michael used to get angry. He would call her, peace. You know, he wanted to be on his shoulders.
Jealous?
And one of my other duties that my father had was to go to the bakery, where the food, where they were baking bread, Sonnenhat, which was about so big. And it was quite a distance from Michael's house, so it was a hazard. First, the doctor was doing it illegally because the bread was for the soldiers. And the doctor was paying for the bread, but my dad has to go that distance and carry a big load over his shoulders and get back to Michael's house. And when he got there, early in the morning, he would cut the bread into 4 pieces. And whoever was hungry, you know, they were really destitute, a piece of bread is what they had to survive on. He would hand it to the people at the door. And he did 2 things. He told one of his friends, tell the Armenians to come early in the morning, so that by the afternoon when the others, Kurds or Turks, were coming, the bread was gone. And he had an excuse not to give it to them. One day, there was a knock at the door, and somebody had brought a little orphan. And my father handed the little boy a piece of bread. The boy wouldn't take it. And my father turned to the guy, why doesn't he take the bread? And he said, well, lift up his chin and look at his face and see if you recognize him. So it's my father's younger brother, who he hadn't seen for 3 years and had no knowledge of what had happened to him. This was one a little older than the younger one who was thrown into a river. So this was, you know, a moment that my father couldn't forget. And then they had to leave because the Turks would only allow the doctor to have 2 people working for him. So my father took his brother, and they were again on their own. And my father didn't see Michael until one time we were at it was a showing of Where Are My People? If you remember that, I think it was in the 60s, Michael?
65.
Okay, I was right. And after he saw the film, he still didn't know who the producer was, because my father used to call Michael Hagopi. And he was announced as Michael Hagopian. But we had a friend along who had heard my father's story so many times. He says, you know, Hampartin, that could be the doctor's son. My father went up and asked Michael, are you Dr. Hagopian's son? And he said, yes. And ever since then, first time he sees Michael, he has to hug him. And it was, is this a dream or reality? After all these years, after the experience of trying to survive, as he said, a dog's life, they met in Los Angeles. And this is the dream or reality for my father. And he's never gotten over the kindness of his father, who is, you know, the picture is Michael's father on the back.
This is Dr. Hagopian.
Remember, he thought he should be remembered forever. The kindness he did for the Armenians, he didn't have that much, you know, he was only mean. He would take care of people without a fee, and he put his life into a lot of jeopardy. And what my father experienced, what this man did, he holds that man higher than anybody else. So this is the story. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to finish reading this beautiful card that Sarah wrote. They brought so much joy and love into my life at a time when I was filled with fear and despair. I began to regain some sense of solace within my soul. I often wondered, would I have survived without this respite in 1918? A hair's breadth near death. Mazi chop, mazi mod.
Masimod.
Mazi mod, yeah.
That's going to be the title of the book. If that's in quotes, that's coming out of the book.
Ah,
That's a
okay.
quote out of the book.
From your father? Okay. And a beautiful note from Sarah saying, one hug was for you and one was for your father. On your 90th birthday, may you continue to feel the love my father cherished for 85 years. May you follow my father's footsteps with a healthy, long life. Longevity, love, Sarah. Sarah, that's beautiful. Just beautiful. Thank you. And typical of Sarah Cheechin, not an empty gesture, but a real gesture, accompanied by a check to the Armenian Film Foundation for $4,000. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? Now it's my time to introduce Michael, and you'll be surprised, Sarah, how Dr. Michael Hagopian intersected, the father, intersected with the Karabian family life. Because, as you know, they came to Fresno, and Dr. Michael Hagopian and my great uncle, Krikor Karabian, the first Karabian to come to the United States, were good friends. They were good, solid Bohagans. They read their Bible together. They discussed the Bible. And Dr. Michael Hagopian, his father, used to always say that Krikor Karabian is a good man. Too bad he's a Beatlitzi. The book, Dr. Hagopian's book of the patients he took care of, he had a mark in there after Krikor Karabian's name. As best we can determine, Krikor Karabian did not pay him, but brought him something in kind for his medical services, probably a lug basket, a lug crate full of fruit, or something of that nature, because Uncle Krikor had a big ranch out on Whitesbridge Road, and had, for those of you who know Fresno, out on Whitesbridge Road, and then brought his produce to the Fresno Free Market. But we have some beautiful pictures of the two of them together. I didn't know this at the time. When Michael and I were first getting acquainted, we had some meetings. George Phillips, Michael, Meron Agbabian, and the late Leo Garapetian, Virginia's husband, used to meet to plan the Armenian Film Foundation. I knew less about film than anyone in this room. And by the way, over the last 25, 26 years, I haven't learned anything about film as well. But my job was to try to raise the money to make the films. So naturally, if you have to raise the money, you gotta find a Vanetzi or a Beatley to put in charge of raising the money. And so as the Beatley, you're gonna have to explain this to the Odars here, I don't know, it's not worth going through. The Beatley was given the job. And so many people have commented that it was a marriage made in heaven with his talent and with his professorial knowledge and with his archival documentation mentality and my get the money, it turned out to work pretty well over all these years. And we made a number of films, in particular the two great films, they're the last two we've made, which the first one was Sorrows from the Lake, The Last Day, Voices from the Lake. See how little I know about filmmaking? Can't even remember the titles, but I got all the money for it, I know that. The Voices from the Lake, which is the last days of Karpet, the town in Turkish-occupied Armenia where Michael was born. And then the next one was Germany and the Secret Genocide, in which Michael did a remarkable job, Michael and others. I could go around and name from Barbara Gilmore and Hilmar Kaiser and Glenn Farr and Carla Garapetyan and others, where they documented that in Turkey, during the First World War, you had these Jew-hating German officers who looked at Jews and Armenians in the same breath and had no respect for any of them. And these people later became, in the Wehrmacht and the SS, up at the top as Hitler marched into Poland and dispensed with the Jews in Poland and Germany and Russia and every place else. And it was because we surmised from what we have studied that he saw, these officers saw how inefficient it was killing Armenians the way they killed them, driving them out into the desert, shooting them, allowing their bodies to stay there, bayoneting them, doing the kind of things they did, that they, in their German mentality, had to have a more efficient way of doing this, hence the cyanide and the ovens and all that took place at the, in the Holocaust of World War II. So it's a great film, and some of you saw it the one night it has been shown. It is awaiting the final work of the Academy Awards committee. We're not smoking pot. I don't want you to think that we think we're going to win an Academy Award with it, but we're in the running, and so there's a possibility. And once that determination is made, about in January, isn't it, Michael? But around in January of next year, the film will be made into a video, as the other films have, and they'll be available for you to purchase the videos. It's a 1-hour video, and it's quite dramatic to see who these guys were in 1917 and 1918, and where they became in 1938, 39, and 40, and the hatred that they had in them, and their German efficiency, and how it all played out. God only knows what would have happened had the United States, France, and Great Britain actually done something after World War I, instead of, you know, looking for a way out and trying to appease Turkey and carve up Syria and Lebanon and Iraq and so forth. But in any case, we met back in the late 70s. George Phillips put together the legal framework of the Armenian Film Foundation. And I say this in introducing Michael because to me, Michael Hagopian, professor, PhD from Harvard, probably the first Armenian to ever get a PhD from Harvard, back in the 1940s, professor at UCLA, knowledgeable person, community activist up in Thousand Oaks and other places, chairman of committees for congressmen and state senators and so forth. But for me, Michael Agopian is synonymous with the Armenian Film Foundation, which I think will be his great legacy, the films. And just to show you how this guy doesn't rest on his laurels, just a couple of weeks ago, Jerry Papazian, Tony, Michael, and I were meeting at USC with the Dean of the Library, the Dean of Letters, Arts, and Sciences. They have shown a very definite interest in wanting the 400 survivor archival films. They want to put them on a digital base, and they want them at the Doheny Library. They have a special storage room. We made them aware of our security concerns, and they have a vault-like room and so forth. And so we've started a dialogue. I don't know what's going to come out. It will be a decision between USC and the board of the Film Foundation. But Michael is already looking ahead to what's going to happen to these priceless treasures. And as Dean Aoun from the LAS Dean, Liberal Letters, Arts, and Sciences Dean said, once we put these on a digital format, there will be the word destruction will be irrelevant. You can never destroy, you can never get rid of these treasures again. And so we're moving in that direction. I don't want to prejudge it. Michael had a hard time with Jerry Papazian and me, both avid USC people there in the room. And Michael and I pointed out how I thought USC was the appropriate place, and Michael was hedging a little bit, hoping UCLA would come to the table, which I might add they have not. But in any case, I'm not going to spend any more time on this introduction other than to tell you, when I had an opportunity like this with William Saroyan, I said to Saroyan, we want to honor you for your birthday. We want you to come to stand up and say anything you want, talk about anything you want. We're going to film it. You're a national treasure, and we want to have this on film. And Saroyan started to say to me, what about Suren Agopian, and what about Nerses Nersesian, and what about, he started to name all these old guys from Fresno who have been dead for years and years. How come nobody honors them? I said, Bill, we're not interested in them. Well, you should be. You should be. So-and-so did this for me, and so-and-so did this. And eventually the conversation, expired and produced nothing. He never came down. We never did the opportunity that I'm hoping to do tonight, and that is to introduce the great Michael Agopian. It's unscripted, unplanned. Let him say whatever he wants, and we're going to capture it on videotape so that our people and our nation and all of you here tonight, thanks to the Ignatius Foundation, will have a copy of this to save and to show and to review as often as you like. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Agopian.
Knowing Wally, I made some notes. All my life, I've always thought that I was 35 years of age. Finally, they're trying to make me look my age, so I started growing a beard for the occasion. But actually, Wally, I think of myself only having lived 2/3 of my life.
Good, good.
The other third is yet to come.
Bravo.
I'm told I had a grandfather who was a boy when Napoleon was losing the Battle of Waterloo. This old man lived to be 120 years old.
There you go. All right.
He He was a Chimiskazakci, which is a province of Parker, on the way to Beatles. And he would lie in bed, look down the street, and he would never fall asleep until all his sons had come home. He wanted to make sure that they came back from Constantinople as merchants or from Beatles, where they were bartering with Beatles thieves who were always cheating them. He was a Lusovac guy, an Armenian Orthodox, and my grandmother was a Protestant bride, and he made her stand at his foot every night until he fell asleep. The guy lived to be 120 years old.
How long did she last?
46, she died at 46.
Wow.
Wally and Laurel, I'm very grateful to her for making this possible. This is a wonderful evening, bringing together friends. We try to get the people that I've known a long time. Most of them are here, not all of them. You know, us Carpetsees and BTCs, we fight with each other. We were somehow welded at the hip. I don't know, Wally and I can't get away from each other. And we bicker and all that. But we have something going. We got a friend in Fresno. He's about my age. He went to school with me. His father was a shoemaker in Beatles, and he became a shoemaker in Fresno. He would sit and he would collect all the money in Chinatown. He owns most of Chinatown. Recently I saw him. I said, Carney, what are you doing? He says, I'm thinking of retiring. I said, why the hell are you retiring? He says, I'm going to run for public office. I said, look, I said, you don't have a thick enough accent. There was a time in Fresno when they put Armenians in jail for speaking like some of our politicians speak today. But anyway, that's a long story. Let's start at the Euphrates. I'm going to reminisce a little bit with you. 3 little boys, cloistered in a courtyard, late at night. The Muslim prayer mullah is piercing the night sky with his chilling call, kind of fearful. General Harvard's trucks are lumbering through town, and far to the north, some guns are going. There's a new republic of Armenia that has just started. So these 2 little boys are talking. What do you want to be? Well, there were 3 men in our minds. Hajbatan, the great warrior who fought the battle of the first religious war of religious freedom. He was a possibility. Then there was General Antranik, the great general who was fighting the Turks and creating a new Armenia. And then there was Woodrow Wilson. These were the 3 names. Woodrow Wilson, at that time, was the most beloved man the world had ever seen. There was no man in all of mankind that had been more adulated, loved, praised as Woodrow Wilson. He was a savior. He was a savior for the Armenians also. I don't know why I chose Wilson. I said, that's the guy I want to be like. Maybe it was because I was born the same year as Wilson became president. Maybe it was the vision he had, I don't know. That was 1913. Maybe the vision of the world that he had, I thought someday I might share. Well, now we come 18 years later. I'm at Harvard University. And whom do I find is my roommate? Woodrow Wilson's grandson.
Oh my God.
Woodrow Wilson said, his father was in the Philippines, commissioner of the Philippines. Woodrow Wilson's brother was gearing up to be dean of the theological school there, and kicked Woody out of the room because Woody was a mess, and he always chased women, which appealed to me because I wanted to learn from him. So he roomed with Woodrow Wilson, Sarah, and I became great friends. At that time, it's a sideline, there was another young man who joined us. His name was Hans Hofstadter, Hitler's piano player, the son of Hitler's piano player and Pip. This was Hans, who felt, boy of 18, he needed a Führer figure. He picked me as his Führer figure. He followed me around to bodyguard me, to protect me. Those were really hectic days at Harvard, and as I look back, I think probably my most enterprising days, because I helped found an international club, an international house. We had such a thing going there that we had made friendships with all of the women mothers, house mothers of the local colleges, the girls' colleges, Wellesley, Radcliffe, everyone. They were our friends. And they would bus girls over to dance at our club. And even the Kennedy boys, Jack and Bob, wanted to get in on that. And Wendell Wilkie's son. So those were hectic days, and I want to remember them. Boston was my first home in this country. We arrived there in 1922. I was 10. By the time I was 11, I was still in the second grade. Didn't know much English, but I felt that I had to establish a baseball club. So I started a baseball club. There were several of us in it. I was the catcher. I hired a little Jewish boy from Lawrence, 20 miles away. He would come in every Saturday to pitch for us, and I paid him 3 cents a day. But it wasn't to be that way. Prices got heavier. Things got more expensive. You see, sometimes I see people here once a week. Some of you I see once every year. There's others like Harry Astor. I don't see but every 50 years. When I last saw him, he said, Mike, he said, you need some legal work. 50 years ago. I said, okay, do it. Whatever it is. So he did the legal work, and now as I look back, calculating today's money, I paid him $50,000. And ever since then, he introduced me to Phillips. From Phillips, it got to Wally. Phillips is a 9-top seed, that was all right. My dad was a 9-top seed. And ever since then, the Ignatius Foundation is trying to make amends for his past.
That's beautiful.
So I'm grateful for that gift, Michael. That's a wonderful thing that you've done, wonderful thing that the Ignatius Foundation has done. I feel really, truly honored that my name will be tied up with the Declining School. Thank you very much. There are other people I want to recognize at this table. Harry Astor and George Metchin, they were the ones who got me married off. But George was the best man. Harry was the head usher, the only usher. I could only afford one usher. They tied me up so tightly that we've been married 42 years. Wonderful marriage. I'll tell you more about her later. But during that period, there are 3 periods in my life I think are important for me. One was when I worked with Paul, Kalamkarian, Harry Astor, George Metchin. There was B. Davidian. I'm sorry that John and Judy Bedrosian could not be here. Together with a few other people, we embarked on a great crusade. I think it was still my biggest crusade. That was to establish a chair of Armenian Studies at UCLA. The idea wasn't mine. The idea was originated in Boston. But we beat my alma mater and established the first chair here. Went up and down the coast, we raised thousands and thousands of dollars. We went back east and fought with the Home Office. They opposed the chair. Nasser opposed the chair. We fought it, but we won. And the significance of that is that we felt Armenian studies, Armenian history should be embedded in the structure of academia, in the structure of world knowledge, not just closed Armenian thing. It should be a part of the world history. And because of what we did, you got Richard Ovanesyan, you got Sanjan, you got everybody else. But if we hadn't done that, if you fellas hadn't worked, we wouldn't have done it. So I'm very thankful that you're here. I noticed some other people here. Sarah has already spoken. Wally said he wasn't going to let anybody else speak, but he couldn't. He couldn't keep it all to himself. Sarah's father was very close to me. He was my babysitter. I did a lot of things he didn't like. I was quite naughty when I was, they called me Chara Gigi. I was a bad little boy. He makes, Harry, or Haraton Chechen makes one remarkable, bombastic statement. It's a classic. In all of Christendom, I don't think I've heard a statement like that. If the Archbishop were here, I would have to ask his forgiveness and that we're not overlooking him. We're not overlooking any archbishops here. Neither was Harry. But Harry said, you know, I think he's written it in his book. He said there were 3 people in the world, 3 holy people in the world. He said, the first was Christ, the second one was the Catholicus, and the third one was your dad. And he says, I'm not sure about the first 2. But my mother had different opinions about me. She had much less appreciation of her son. She said, Hagapi, you know, your dad wanted you to be a minister because he was spiritual. And you weren't talking word, you were spiritual. You didn't become a minister. Then you didn't become a doctor. You then became a professor. And then he said, you left that, you tried to be a photograph chief. You tried to be a photographer. He says, I don't even understand that. Now you say you're a producer. I don't know what. She says, yes, Mark, be the last. Coming back. There's some other guests here. One of the earliest persons that I met when I moved to LA. In fact, the first person I met in Los Angeles was Rosemary Kalamkarian.
Oh,
They gave me I was a new instructor, they gave me an office in the basement of the library. One day I saw this attractive young lady walking down the hall. And she came, she said, Paredes, she says, Rosemary Danielian, I want to welcome you to UCLA. You were a freshman, I think, and we became acquainted. Went through a lot. We tried to find boyfriends for her. We finally got her married off Paul,
We disagreed a lot on politics too.
whose uncles I had met in the Sudan 2 years earlier. At that same time, I was teaching classes at UCLA, and one of my students was Paul Garagos. About the second oldest person here that I've known. He took American institutions from me. And in his class was Mike Connors, and the brother of the Shah of Iran. He was a good guy, the Shah of Iran. He had parties, and through him, I was able to meet Ava Gardner and a few other. I want to mention the second opening to my life. Shortly after our marriage, children started coming so fast that we had to find a country home, get out in the country. And we moved to Thousand Oaks. And it took an important part of my life. Again, it wasn't much different from what I did at UCLA. The whole thing was preservation. In this case, we're trying to preserve the landscape, the environment, and we have here a few people who are from here tonight from Thousand Oaks. Barbara and her husband Jim, Colleen Schmidt back there. But the others could not come tonight. Francis Prince and the new city manager, Phil Gatch, and Kochekians, who worked so hard with me to try to bring a sense of community, a sense of belonging, a sense of place in Thousand Oaks. And I'm sorry that all of them aren't here tonight. But I'm very glad that the rest of you are. And finally, 25 years ago, 24 years ago, next year will be 25 years, Film Foundation has been founded. Walter's already told you about that, who was involved. It's been a great group of people and supporters like yourself that have made it possible. That's the final contribution that I've made that I like to think of. But I want to also remember the staff support that I've had. There are a number of them here. Barbara Gilmore, Colleen Schmidt, Becky. I want Becky to stand. Nobody knows who she is. Becky was my first one in Thousand Oaks. Worked with me for 20 years. I came to Thousand Oaks and I put an ad in the paper. I said I will pay $2 for secretarial work. 45 people applied. I really took it seriously. I gave them oral exams, written exams, and I picked Becky after 3-4 weeks, and she was top. She stayed with me 20 years.
Oh my God.
They all leave, eventually, go on to better jobs, make more money. There's more money in anything than films, like the kind of films I make. Let's go back, do some more for them. But it's been a great love. She's tender, smart, gives me good advice, and I love her.
She's beautiful.
Michael is not here, he's in Hawaii. He's our giant, 6'2". He likes the beach. He likes the easy life. He had to go back. He was here last week. But my second, Joanne is here with her husband, John Ignoyan. And David. Bill Carnahan. So what does it all mean? Think of me in connection with UCLA Chair, Thousand Oaks Open Space, and the Armenian Film Foundation. That's been the corpus. The journey is not over yet. It's going to be 10 more hectic years over.
Good.
And I'll be seeking comrades. Fortunate thing is that I haven't, as some people experience, like heritage and experience, deep sorrow. I know, I can imagine people experiencing searing sorrow when they leave the homeland or go into exile. It must be terrible. I haven't known those things. But somehow I feel maybe tonight we're on a shoreline of a kind, and we're kind of on floes of ice, and we're drifting apart, and we'll all drift apart. We'll all go our ways, and I'm sure that all of us will find dreams for ourselves, for our Armenians, for our country, and for the world. Thank you.
Now for the final traditional act of all birthdays. We have special cake coming out here. I wanted to explain to you that I wasn't a neat and tidy person trying to clean up in front of Michael and me while he was speaking. It was really to create some room so we could put the cake someplace. And we're going to have it out here in just a second. And I asked his sons to bring the cake in because, you know, always you have the people who carry the cake in the most historic and memorable photos. And I didn't want to have one of the waiters or waitresses here carrying the cake in.
Good idea.
So I have the two children out there to do it. I'm going to take this out of the way, Michael, and put it like this. Good. So we get ready here for that. Well, I want to thank all of you and tell you that we have a sparkling champagne to go with our dessert. It's a Schramsberg. And even though this will make Michael ill, it was the famous wine that Richard Nixon took to China. And so if you don't like it, you have to blame old Richard Milhouse. Or as we used to say in college, all the way to the shit house with Milhouse.
Hey, Wally, you're okay.
Thank you. I really like me. I knew that. And we have a special cake, and I hope you enjoy it. And then you're welcome to stay and visit with Michael. We have cognac and Grand Marnier and other things for after dinner. Stay as long as you want, look at the Ayazovskis, visit with your friends and with Michael, some in the living room, some here. We're just delighted with the way this evening turned out. And so much of what Michael said, I'd never heard before. And that's exactly why I wanted to do this. We have captured the things that were most important to him, and we have them. You ready to do it? Yeah. Well, we've got all this. I think there's enough room. It's kind of like,
We can move the table over 6 feet.
there we go. Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Michael. Happy birthday to you. Let's show everybody that cake.
Alright, it has a film camera, film Happy Birthday Michael, and of course 9 candles, one for every wonderful decade of Michael's life.
And the colors are the flag, the Yetta Queen of
The Yetta
Armenia.
Queen colors, and we're so happy you're here to celebrate with us. Is this a great excuse for a party?
Beautiful.
Okay, good.
Oh, wonderful.
All right, let's see if we can.
And the sparklers.
And these are not those fake candles that keep burning, you know, that we do with the kids. So.
Make a wish.
Ujoma Pachel.
I've been pacheling all my life. Blowing it off.
Again, go, again, go. Real candles.
They were trick candles. You didn't tell us the truth.
There we go. I don't know what his wish was, but while he was looking at those candles, I was wishing for at least 10 more. That was my wish, so that we can do this again and have 10 candles there. And I'm going to, and I ask any of you who have a toast you want to make, I'll pass the microphone to you, but I want to start out by saying, Michael, I hope for 10 more in the same good health that you're in now. Hear, hear.
I want to pass this on to
Nixon had good taste, didn't he?
a special friend of mine, Rabbi Hertzen. I don't know how I met Rabbi Hertzen through.
Rabbi, wave your hand so they see who you are over here. No, wave your hand, please. Okay.
A young lady was working for me. We were trying to find out who Polly Graffin was, missionary. I sent her back east to do some research, and she said, my father-in-law is Rabbi Hertzen. I met him. He says, I've heard about you. I used to teach at Fire School. I've seen all your films. A great intellectual, a great humanitarian, a great friend of the Army. So you get that whole thing here. I want to acknowledge you here.
Ladies and gentlemen, and of course, to the chairman. What I really want to say here tonight is the fact that there is a bonding between me and Michael Agopian, representing our two peoples. There's a bonding between the Armenian historic experience and the Jewish historic experience, especially in relation to what happened in the 20th century with the Holocaust. This bonding is what I would consider prophetic. I do believe that the pain that you bear as a people can only be redeemed by what we call redemption. The return to Armenia, your beloved Ararat. I do not know what form it will take in the future, but clearly it is something that you deserve. You are an aggrieved people. And in the way you have suffered, we have suffered, but because we committed ourselves to the notion of redemption, Therefore, we are now back in our own land. It is something that I feel and I pray for the Armenian people to achieve in accordance with your own will. Because it was Theodor Herzl who told us, and at the end of the 19th century and at the beginning of the 20th, if you will it, it is not a dream. So that all I can say to you is as follows, that if you have this treasure, such as Dr. Hagopian, who has recorded the agony of your people, then I sincerely hope that the next chapter in the creative commitment that you are making, to the future of your people, that it indeed will be in terms of redemption, so that you can find healing for the pain that you now bear. Amen. And thank you for your friendship, my dear Michael. It is an honor to be here and to join you at this wonderful occasion. And may God bless you till 120, which is also a Jewish ideal of old age.
I'm reminded with this lovely Schramsberg rosé that Pinot Noir, I'm reminded of my favorite Richard Nixon in China story. Nixon and Mao Zedong are talking, and Nixon, ingratiating himself with Mao, says to him, knowing that Mao never liked Nikita Khrushchev, he said, just think, if Khrushchev had been assassinated and not Kennedy, how different it would be. I would not be here to open up China to the West. You and I would not be able to begin the road toward détente. We would not have any of this cooperation which we plan ahead for our two great people. And Mao rubbed his chin like this and he said, He said, if Khrushchev had been assassinated and not Kennedy, he said, do you think Onassis would have married Mrs. Khrushchev?
Not if you were sober.
I want to say that the classroom, the archival and journalism classroom that Michael spoke about, will be ready for dedication at the end of next summer when they get to that phase in the expansion of the Ukrainian school. And we're going to invite all of you, and we'll have a little ceremony there where the plaque is put up in honor of Michael Hagopian at the Ukrainian school, and we'll have some refreshments, and we'll do it right and hope that all of you enjoy it. We want to wish you all good health until then, so that you can all be with us. And Laurel and I want to say thank you again for coming to our home, and we hope that you stay and enjoy yourself. We're in no hurry. One of the nice things about marrying a rich girl is you don't have to go to work early in the morning.
Me neither.
Yes, as she said, she doesn't have to go either.